Welcome back, everyone, to Beyond the Balance with Jessica Perez. I am so excited to introduce you to my next guest. Not only is she a friend, she's been a business colleague for almost all of my working and professional career, and she has helped shape who I am personally and professionally. We've known each other since before we were moms, so we can talk about that a little bit as well. But welcome, Katie Hubbard, to Beyond the Balance. So glad to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here with you today.
All right, Katie, let's dive into it. Tell our guest who you are on paper, professionally, and personally in your life.
Okay, so professionally, I am the president of Walton, the U.S. capital markets team, which we are an alternative investment. We raise capital in the independent broker-dealer and RIA channels. And I got to Walton, which I've been here now for a total of 10 years, because right when I basically was growing up, I went into college to study real estate and construction management because everybody that I knew that had money, their parents were somehow involved in real estate. So I'm like, okay, this is definitely the path I want to go. Well, I graduated with that degree, and then I went to work for a home builder and worked for Lennar Homes as an actual superintendent. So I was wearing a hard hat and steel toe boots, speaking Spanish, and this was like 20 years ago. And I was working in a trailer, literally, on a job site with no heat in Colorado. It was freezing cold. I was building homes, and this, as you're building the houses, there's no heat. I was just like in the snow, in the mud. And I realized very quickly, okay, this is not like the career for me. Not only was I not making a lot of money, but this just was not going to be good for my skin. Doing this for 20 years, being outside. So I went back to school, got my master's in finance, and then was a commercial real estate broker for 4 years, selling apartment buildings, institutional apartment buildings, which I loved. I learned so much, was able to apply my real estate knowledge in finance. And what I didn't love about it is, as a commercial real estate broker, you're spending so much time on the listing and doing showings and getting under contract, and it would take 6 months before you would get paid. And then a deal would fall apart last minute. Somebody would retrade, and then it's like starting over. Like, okay, someone said, oh, you should go be a wholesaler. And I was introduced to Walton, and this was back in 2009. And I said, what's a wholesaler? Had no idea. And they said, well, you have to get your Series 7. Had no idea what that was. And got my Series 7, was introduced to Walton, loved everybody there. That's where I met Jessica. And they said, yeah, you'll get paid, every 2 weeks when you make sales. I was like, I'm definitely in. The rest is history. Jessica and I were a team, and we just crushed it. We were the number one team, and we were there together working like 6-7 years. So yeah, Walton is a great place. I left and came back, but super happy to be back at Walton. But that's really the path that I took from school to the evolution of getting to where I'm at today.
Okay. And along that journey, you became a mom. Let's talk about that. You became a mom at Walton, because that's when we knew each other. And yes, we were the best team there. Anytime we work together, we're the best team. So
exactly.
We'll leave that there. But
yes.
Tell me about your journey into motherhood, because you, Katie, have been a kick-ass person always, right? Your ambition is there. Your motivation is internal. You want to be successful because you want to be successful. Motherhood changes that just a little bit for some of us, a lot for some other people. But how did motherhood really start to impact you as you were building this career? Because you were newer in the wholesaling space when you became a mom.
Yes. So I had a surprise pregnancy and was not planning on it. And I traveled a lot for work being a wholesaler. And I remember going to the airport and thinking like, OPC, so annoying. Other people's children are so annoying. Was not planning on having kids. Didn't really want kids. It was never like in my purview. And then I come from a huge family. There's 5 kids in my family. Now there's 17 grandkids. But I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, like I'm pregnant. So I went to our boss at the time and wrote this like long, ridiculous letter looking back saying, I'm so sorry. I'm pregnant. And I promise I promise to still do a good job, and I'll travel and I'll figure it out. I was like worried. Like, oh my gosh, we're in a man's world here, and how am I going to compete? And how are we going to still be the number one team because I'm going to have this baby? And so like they were totally understandable. It's like, it's totally fine. I was like, don't worry, I'm not going to take maternity leave. Like, that's for weak people. I don't need that. And anyway, looking back now, it's so funny. So I tell women, do not do what I did and what I still continue to do in some cases. But don't feel bad if that happens. I mean, the world is totally different. I think it's evolved for the much better today. And whoever you're with will support you. So if you're in a place where they're not going to support you in that situation, you're definitely in the wrong place. So Walton was amazing, had tons of support, but it was definitely, I had to think, how am I going to do both of these things and still be amazing salesperson. We still be the top team. And so I was a little bit crazy. And I remember, like, I would travel the first probably, I don't know, year of my daughter's life. I would literally fly my mom on trips with me because I was like, now I have this baby. I can't like leave my baby. I've got to be a good mom. And I remember it was my first conference. I took 6 or 7 weeks of maternity leave, and I took the baby. She was 7 weeks old. It was my first day back at a conference, and I had the baby at the booth, which was great. It was good for booth traffic, but like my mom was there, so she was up taking care of the baby in the hotel room. And we did that quite a bit. She would fly into Phoenix, take care of my baby, because, husband was good, but like I didn't really trust him like you trust your mom with the baby, right? And so I had my mom come in. She was in Denver. I'd fly her in, then I'd fly out. It was like this whole production. It was kind of crazy. And then she was in daycare. And so I remember this is just so funny to think about. I would get up. I would put her like in the baby carrier, the front carrier. And I would literally, sorry, I think this is mostly moms watching. If men watch this, sorry, this is going to be visual for you that probably can't be unvisualized. But I would have her like in the front carrier. And I would be nursing her while blow drying my hair. So it's like, you only have so much time. You've got to like get all of their stuff, their bottles and everything, go to daycare, pray that they're not sick or that they don't get sick, because the last thing you feel like you can handle is the daycare calling you to come pick up your kid. When it's like, no, you've got to be like, a boss babe. And then I would be driving to work and like doing my mascara in the car and like hitting the roof of the car, look up and it's like all covered in mascara because I was always like driving and just trying to multitask. And then I would have to pump. Well, when I was home, I was usually like nursing, and so I would pump in the car doing my mascara on my way to work. And I'm sure I traumatized some people next to me that witnessed this, but it's like, it wasn't easy, but looking back, it's like you just do what you have to do, right?
Yeah.
I know you've been in that situation.
I mean, I've pumped in the most random places that you could ever imagine. So I definitely understand, toting through the airport with your 88 ounces of milk because you were gone for one day, maybe 2 max. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
well, here it is, right? Like you have those moments. So when we traveled as a working mom, I mean, there's so many misconceptions that people have about this. And this is part of what I was telling you is I hated this feeling of like, don't you get sad? Don't you miss your kids? Don't you this? And it's like, those are all true. But talk about how you pushed through these things. Because not only did you have one kid, you had another. Now you're a busy mom of 5, blended family. You have kids from what, 15 to 5? 5 to 15?
Yeah, 5 to 15. Yeah. So my baby's 5 now.
Oh my God, I can't believe she's 5. So
yes.
How did you just keep it going? Like, how did you not let the guilt or some of the things that come up when you are a working mom, especially you travel a ton. You and I have traveled most of our careers, right? So since our kids were babies, we have had a traveling career in life. So how do you navigate this? How do you manage this? How do you not feel sad or feel like you're missing out on some things?
Yeah, and they get used to it, right? Kids are resilient, so it's what they're used to. So especially like if you started off that way. I mean, I woke up this morning, I happened to be in Colorado today. Literally, my 5-year-old says, when are we taking you to the airport? Because she's used to driving me to the airport. I usually leave on Monday nights. And I said, oh, I'm actually in town this week. She didn't jump up for joy. She's like, meh, okay, like, well, Dad's usually taking care of me. He's a fun guy anyway. So totally not phased. She's just used to the routine. But yeah, you have to push through it. So I would say, I mean, there definitely were times where like it was probably like more hormones and lack of sleep. There's definitely been lots of tears. It's like not really from feeling guilty because like it is what it is. I have to do it. I want to do it. I choose to do it. No one's forcing me to. I jokingly asked my husband, like, would you like me to get a job? We're gonna travel so much. So like, no, please go. We like when you're gone. I'm like, perfect. I like going to a hotel room and that it's clean. They will make my bed for me and there's no messes or clutter. Like, perfect. We're all happy. But you get used to it. But there's times where it's like, I'm just overwhelmed, exhausted. It feels like too much. And so you have to have a supportive partner that says like, hey, like, that will support you, like, whatever you need. For me, I like someone who's like, literally like, just tell me what you need. Well, we're going to make it work. So I have, some family support, my husband's support, and then the other kids help. Advisors will say like, oh, well, do you have a nanny? Like, no, I don't want somebody in my house when I'm gone. No, I'm a control freak, and then I'd like clean and then I don't want or need that, and then I don't have a cleaning lady.
But then I would have to. This is like another question I was going to ask, because a lot of people ask that. Like, as a busy mom, you have 5 kids, you're gone a lot. What kind of help do you guys leverage at that point then?
So definitely, my mom does a lot of driving for us, and then we benefit. She lives close, so people that don't have any nearby support, I could definitely see like how they need someone to drive kids to school activities if you're not there and you have multiple kids, and having a nanny at that point. But for me, I would have to clean for the cleaning lady, and then 5 minutes after she left, the house wasn't clean, so it was like it just felt like extra. And plus, I'm trying to build kids that also can clean up after themselves. So if we have a cleaning lady, it's like, what am I teaching them if someone's coming and cleaning the room? So I prefer it. And then like just the laundry, again, being a control freak. I don't want like someone getting in that system, but how do I handle it all? There's just always laundry going. I mean, there's constant loads. You can't get behind on that because with 7 people, it's endless.
So
they've been trained.
What does a day in your household look like? Because I'm a huge advocate. Like, people have to find what works for them. If you enjoy doing laundry, do laundry. If you enjoy cooking, be the cook in your house. But I don't believe like there are roles specific to most people. I think that you got to find a dynamic that works in your household. So what does that look like for you guys right now? You said you have a supportive husband, so we know that's number one. And family. That's really
good.
Okay.
And I don't enjoy laundry. I just don't want to be upset about what happens in the laundry room. So I don't enjoy it. And I don't really enjoy cooking because that's just causes, the amount of dishes that we do. So day in the life is my husband brings me coffee in bed because I can't get out of bed unless I have coffee, obviously. We're just having it like right there in the hotel room. So if I'm home, that's what happens. I get coffee. The teenage daughters get themselves up early because, it takes at least 3 hours to do their hair and makeup because they're in high school. And so they get up on their own, and then the boys get up, my husband feeds them breakfast, I get the 5-year-old ready, which is like usually multiple wardrobe changes because it's just never the right outfit or the right socks. And then we come downstairs, everybody's having breakfast, get their water bottles, shoes on, are their lunches packed, do they have their coats, what are the after school activities, and we have a hard copy calendar.
Yes.
That way everybody can see what is going on that day, and if it's not on the calendar, then it does not get done. If you want to go to your friend's house, sleep over, if you have any activities that need to involve driving or scheduling, has to be written on the calendar. So everyone's been trained, it's got to be on the calendar, it doesn't happen. And then we just basically, as like in a family, like look at like what's the day look like? Who's got what activities? Gymnastics, soccer today, mathnasium, theater class, that's all just today. And then my husband gets home from work, we usually drive the kids to their activity. We also have dance today. 5 kids, 5 activities. So we drive them to everywhere, drop them off, and we go to the gym. Okay. And I would say that's key. It's just having some time where you can connect with your partner, because otherwise you're like ships passing in the night, and you hear so many people like growing apart or in happy marriages. Kids can make you unhappy, right? Like kids can drive you totally insane. So you've got to like take that time to connect, and that's just how we connect. It's good, like mentally, and then we're connecting and staying in shape, and then we pick everybody up, come home. We usually have dinner. At usually 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock is dinner. It's super late. I know some people are like, that's just crazy, but that's what works for us. So then they do homework and literally go to bed. It's usually like 10:30. Everybody's going to bed at the same time.
Well, that's nice though. All right, so you guys find a system that works for you. There's a lot of busyness in there. However, you have prioritized what matters most to you. How do you prioritize you in all of your busyness? So many women, and the answer can be, Katie, you maybe don't sometimes, right? Because that's an acceptable answer. Some people don't realize, like, sometimes I don't need these things for me, or that's not what fulfills me. Last year, we did an event together, the Power Moves event, and you were talking about that circle with the 10 priorities. Maybe that's something you can share on here a little bit more, but I know you're very disciplined in how you prioritize every component of your life and what that looks like. So maybe talk about that.
Yeah, so we definitely have, it's the wheel of life. So anybody can just like Google the wheel of life. And the goal is to make sure that you have a balanced life in each of those categories that are important to you. So if you have a category that's not important to you, then don't prioritize that. But for me, spirituality is important. So last night during the Super Bowl, my family was not super pumped when I'm like, hey, we're going to church. And like the Super Bowl's on. I was like, sounds like we should have gone to church this morning, but that didn't happen. So we're going to just rush and hope that it's a fast mass. And so we prioritize that because it's important to us. Prioritize health, so eating healthy, making sure that the kids aren't just eating junk food that's going to make them crazy. Like I try to not buy a lot of like sugar or food coloring, so I'm a little bit strict on that front. But when I'm gone, I know that my 5-year-old's like, we got donuts. I'm like, what? So you just can't control those things. Like I can't be upset about that. They're having fun. So yeah, just like looking at the wheel of life and prioritizing For me, I love to work. So as long as they're not getting in the way of me getting on a plane and being successful at work, then we're all happy, because that's what makes me happy, is being successful at work and being a good example for them.
Yeah. And so what else are you doing for like the spouse, the relationship? Because you talk about that, and I think that that's a huge piece. As a busy working mom and a professional with, you have a number of kids, even if you have two, it doesn't matter. Life gets in the way of making sure your relationship is prioritized. How do you guys do that outside of the gym? Like, what else are you guys doing to stay connected, especially while you're away so much?
Yeah, so I would say maybe like I'm a stage 5 clinger when I am at home, because like my whole joke, like my husband like going to the next room, I basically follow him and they're just like talking and connecting. So, it's like he's my everything, like my best friend, like, my partner, the father of my children, and like we do everything together. And that, to me, that satisfies me. I don't have a social life. Like, some of my friends will get together and hang out, but it's like, I'll prioritize seeing you, Jessica, because like you're a working mom, we're both in the same business, we understand each other. What would be hell to me, is going like on a girls trip with a bunch of non-working moms. That's not my jam. That sounds possible weekend of my life, not the best use of my time, because I just can't really relate to that. So that's fine. Like, if that's what people want to do, totally appreciate that. But I don't want to spend my time with things that are not productive, or for my family, or advancing my career, or helping other women advance their careers. I really focus on that. And everything outside of that, I just try to eliminate off my calendar.
Yeah. So you don't have a lot of friends, and that's totally okay. I tell people all the time, like, you can have work friends who have shared common interests. You and I have been very close friends for a long time, and the commonality is our work, right? We continue to work in the same industry, know the same people, can help refer people back and forth to one another, and support each other personally and professionally there. What do you do to grow yourself professionally?
I mean, that's just endless. I mean, I'm basically like a sales help junkie, like any sales books, I subscribe to tons of sales blogs. When those come in on the morning or the weekends or whenever they come in, like, I stop what I'm doing and I look and like, oh, is this like a new technique, or is there a new video out on somebody that I like to watch that motivates me? So I'm constantly looking for new information, and I also coach salespeople. So I don't want them to just think like, oh, this is like Katie saying this. I want to say, hey, here's a book that I listen to, or here's someone I watched on YouTube, here's another salesperson and what they do to be successful. Always trying to add value. And that's, I think, by focusing on it and being hyper focused on, that's what I do for a living. I want to be the best at it, and I really can't get enough of sales, like ChatGPT. I'm on Claude. I know we talked a lot about AI and how you guys are using it, so just trying to become more efficient now, especially, and feel overwhelmed in a good way, like, oh, there's so much more I could be doing. It's like, okay, I'll do it, and trying to take it in bite-sized chunks and then deliver it to my team. But there's so much cool stuff out there now that if we would have had access to this, 15, 20 years ago, where would we be now?
Yeah. Who are some leaders that give you good inspiration that you follow, listen to, make sure that you're staying plugged into? Because to me, sales is not just like what we do for sales. Sales is consulting. Sales is understanding people. Sales is psychology. It is everything. So no matter what your role is, to me, understanding sales coaching, sales mindsets is so important for growth for people. So like, who are some of the people that you listen to, that you tune into, that have helped shape you into who you are today?
Well, I mean, as you know, when I was at BlackRock, we're trained on the Challenger sales model. They just came out with an updated new version of that called the Activator. And it's really the same type of strategy. It's how do you create momentum with the right people and give them the right message, teach, tailor, take control. So the Challenger sale, if you haven't read that, it's so good. If you're doing complex, high-value sales, it's invaluable. I still love Phil Jones' Exactly What to Say. Just out of curiosity, just imagine, would you be open-minded? I bet you're like most people. And those are just, it's basics, but it's so easy to implement. So there's no excuses for salespeople. It's just, the Little Red Book of Selling, Jeff Gitmer, just like going back to the classic wholesaling training. This is not a difficult business to be in, and if you care, then you can be so successful. And if you're representing a good product with good people, the opportunities are so endless, which is why that feeds my soul. And when it comes to my family, it's like, hey, I'm glad you guys are all happy. I'm here to support you and I love you. But it's like, this is what really feeds my soul, is having success and being an expert in what I'm doing. And then, of course, I love Jocko. I love Tony Robbins. Last night, Jessica, you'll laugh about this. So my daughter, who's a freshman in high school, said she was going to be presenting today in history class, and she hates presenting. I had to calm myself down. I was like, okay, like, don't make her hate me by, like, making her become, like, an expert presenter tonight. I was like, okay, well, you're going to present. So I made her present. And I was like, that's terrible. People just want, we're going to be here until it's at least decent. So she rolled her eyes, but by the end, she was so much better. But I put on, I'm a big fan of Andy Elliott, which he's, like, classic car sales, and I grew up in, like, in a car sales family. So I just, like, have a special spot in my heart for him. But the way he is just so confident and how he delivers his message. So I had her watch some of the videos and was just showing her, like, hey, one of the most important life skills you're ever going to have, no matter what, high school drama, college drama, friend groups, whatever, dating, is being able to confidently enter a room and convey a message and have people listen to you. Like, no matter what industry you're in. I'm like, so what you learn today, I'm like, you can learn it when you're in college, like most people do. I'm like, or you're a freshman in high school, you can learn it now and be that much farther ahead of people. Of course, she's, my daughter doesn't want to hear it. But I could see I was planting the seeds. And I'm like, this is what I do for work, right? Which I don't know if she really knows what I do, but she asks all the time, and I don't know if it really absorbs, but
they don't absorb it. Yeah. What they do absorb, though, and Liliana tells me all the time, she's like, I don't know, my mom gets on stages, she talks to people, she has a podcast, she does webinars, like, that's what she remembers and recalls. So for her, it's fun because I am something she is not, or maybe something she doesn't want to be right now, which is in front of people, on stages, and all of this stuff. But for me, the more I do this, the more I empower my daughter, the more teaching her and showing her, like, you don't have to be afraid to do this. And I tell her, like, I get nervous every time before I go on a stage or I do a live webinar. The difference is I just don't care. Like, I'm not going to let that hold me back. I'm going to keep doing it, right? You just got to keep showing up. You got to keep doing the thing. And I think that's how you and I have really become successful, is you just keep doing it and you keep learning and growing and you stay open-minded to learning from other people and borrowing other people's success and leaning on other people. And I think that has helped both of us to really excel in our career. So, like, what are things that have helped you grow to where you are today? Because Katie, you are on public channel, doing investment updates, talking about the housing market, like in places probably you never saw yourself, or maybe you did. Sometimes I look at my life and I think, like, man, who am I to think that I'm on that stage or on that webinar or talking to these people? Like, that imposter syndrome kicks in because you and I grew up very similar. Big family, not from wealth, right? We didn't grow up in this industry with a lot of money. So, like, talk about those imposter syndrome moments, because I don't know, I feel like I never get that out of you, but I know that lives in us sometimes. But how do you do that? Like, just keep growing yourself and getting yourself in those rooms and feeling like you belong in the places that you're showing up into today.
Yeah, I mean, that literally, like, just gives me chills, because we both grew up, like, with nothing. Poor families were, probably the most successful people financially.
Yes.
Of our, siblings and families would, label us as successful because they don't want what we chose to do, and that's totally fine. Yeah, you're always fighting with imposter syndromes. I just have learned that you have to die 1,000 deaths every single day to get better. You have to, like, let that old self go and just, like, step into, there's, like, so many good visualization techniques. Like, Tony Robbins is really good at having one. I also believe in, like, stoicism, and it's like, it is what it is. So you just have to, like, fake it till you make it. But if you just, even, like, when you're going on stage, just as you had mentioned, like, getting nervous, it's just, like, visualizing somebody standing in front of you and just having them, like, turn, and that's you. But, like, what's the best version? Not just, like, a better version, but, like, the best version of yourself in that moment. What does that look like? How are they dressed? Visualizing that person, your best version of yourself. Like, doing a 360, basically standing there as an observer, watching your best self. This is really good when you're getting on stage. And then you literally step into that person. You visualize stepping into that, and you are unstoppable. You get on stage, you go into a room, you can command the room. And you really have to just, say, one is, like, the give a shit factor. So if you care and you prepare and you know what you're talking about, then no one can take that away from you. But you have to put in the work. So I think that's what, if I look at what's contributed to my success, is people being brutally honest with me. And that brutal honesty, whether I wanted to hear it in those moments or not, helped me grow as a person. And I like to give back that gift of truth giver, truth receiver. And it can be hard. It can be hard to hear about your behavior, about how people perceive you, lack of self-awareness, just helping people become better in sales. If they care, then even though it hurts to hear in that moment, they will thank you later for it. And I can look back and there are some very vivid conversations that I remember having, and it's like, man, I was, young and dumb and didn't know. But if somebody didn't tell me, then I wouldn't have grown. So when I was in commercial real estate, I was told to dress like a man. Literally, they said, we want you to like suit up, dark suit, white or blue shirt, collared, look like a man. Because our clients, we were doing institutional clients, we don't want them thinking anything other than like what they should be thinking about, which is this asset. Mm-hmm. And when I'm 25 years old, and so they want me dressing like a 25-year-old. At that time, I totally understood it. But until they told me that, I can assure you, I was not dressing the way that I should be dressing at work. But I didn't know. Like, I thought I looked good. Thought I looked good too, but it made sense. And then when I hired a presentation coach because I wanted to really get good at presenting, it was like, you really dress very masculine. It's like, your audience, when you're on stage, would like to see you be a little bit more feminine because you are a woman. Mm-hmm. And I explained to like, well, this is why I do that. So I've definitely toned down the masculine dress. You can see like, pink is what I'm wearing today, and trying to like, Jessica, you've always been like a great dresser and can wear like fun and lots of purple and lots of colors. But the audience wants that. They want to be entertained and also educated. So without you dressing inappropriately, it's just having people coach you along the way. And I think if you see something where somebody's not doing something that you think is going to help their career grow, instead of holding that in, or worse, saying it behind their back and talking about it, it's like, hey, I'm gonna tell you something, and this is gonna help you, and you're gonna thank me later while you might hate me in the moment. I've had people, literally, I could count like probably 10 people who have texted me years later, that like, thank you so much for telling me this stuff that nobody else told me, and how I was being perceived, and they've grown in their careers.
It is so true. I'll give you a good example because I've worked with you forever. I remember I had on these like platform heels, and I don't know if you remember this back in the day. I think everybody used to wear them. Yeah. And you were like, we don't wear platforms, we don't wear open toes, we're not hookers around here. That's the relationship that we have, but the honesty that can happen here. And again, it was no insult to anybody. I didn't take it that way, but you were trying to help me in how we professionally looked and showed up in places. I remember one time I was having a conversation with him, and he was really trying to help us because he might not have been the greatest at his skill set, but he was definitely great at helping others. And in a conversation that he and I were having, every time I said the word like, he said it back to me. And it was the most annoying thing I had ever experienced in my whole entire life. However, you will very rarely hear me use like as a filler word anymore, because he helped me and he said, yes, it is just as annoying hearing it come out of you. Because I told him, why are you doing that? And he said, I just wanted you to hear what it sounds like. So every time, and I was so mad at him, Katie, but it helped me so much in understanding what filler words did in conversations with people. It makes you look stupid and they don't hear your actual message in it. So being able to have that truth teller, truth receiver mindset, it's so hard. No one wants to hear that you are not doing well, or that what you did is not great, doesn't make sense, makes you look some kind of way. But if you start to reframe it to say, these people actually care enough about me to give me back information that's going to make me better. And hard conversations do that. And that is one of the things I have loved the most about my relationship with you, personally and professionally, is we've always been able to have hard conversations about who we are, what we're doing, how we show up, how can we be better, how do we challenge ourselves to get to the next level. I'm grateful I have you in my life to do that. For people who maybe don't have that, how do you find someone or something, or where would you recommend that they go to find that type of mentorship of somebody who's going to be very honest with you and give you back brutal truths? How do you find that? How do you get that person, or how do you get that friendship or something?
Well, anybody that they can call either one of us, and we will help and coach and mentor. Like, we're definitely both open to that. We want to help people. So if you don't want to do that, or if somebody like maybe you're thinking of, I would just reach out to somebody that typically has more confidence, because it's usually confident people that are willing to put themselves out there, because you and I both know that we might not be the most liked by everybody.
Yes.
We're not for everybody. And I tell people, like, I'm not for everybody. And that's okay. It makes me like feel bad deep down because I have always good intentions, but sometimes having a strong personality, it's not for everybody. Okay. But if you have somebody that, has a strong personality, they'll usually, you can pull them to the side and say, hey, I want to grow. What are some things that you've noticed that you think I could do better on how I present, how I carry myself in a room, how I'm dressing, how I'm being prepared, on all of the things. It's the package of being a professional, successful woman, especially in sales, dominated in financial services. So my rule of thumb is just always dress in a way that if an advisor's wife walked into the situation, there would be no explaining that he had to do because of that she would say like, oh, okay, I can see you working with professional women. That's just like the litmus test. Never want an advisor to feel like they would have to explain if you're out to dinner with them, having a perfectly professional meeting, but in small social circles in certain cities, like you don't want them to have someone see them at a restaurant with you and you're not dressed professionally. That's horrible. You're gonna lose business and respect, and really you're gonna lose respect and business.
You lose both. How do you guys decompress? What do you guys do for fun as a family to get away? Because you and I talk about vacations, although few and far between. I know you enjoy getting away a little bit, even though you might not unplug fully. You and your family take some time away. What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, definitely when I'm home, we love to go to the gym. That's how we decompress. That's like our quality time together, connecting. And just by going back, I know I didn't really directly answer that question before, but I think like just having conversations with your spouse or your partner about like, hey, I want to make sure because I'm traveling or I'm gone or there's high pressure that we're connecting and you don't fall into one, like resentment. That's, I would say probably sometimes I will come home and I'll get like a little tinge of like irritation because like the house looks like we've been robbed, like dishes are piled, and like it's ridiculous of me to expect that my husband like did all of this stuff, took care of the kids, they had a great time, they got to all their activities, everything else was perfect. So that like just don't fall into like that victim. If you're choosing to be a successful woman, boss babe, then it's like, then own that, and you have to give grace to your partner at home who's also dealing with their own bag of like dealing with putting the kids to bed and getting them up and brushing their hair and teeth and socks and all of the stuff that comes, dishes, like all of that annoying stuff that comes. So just like really connecting and talking that out. I think like communicating, having date nights, making sure that you're staying connected and prioritizing the relationship verbally, and then whatever, like I think it's really important to know your partner's love languages, like whatever the love language is that's important to them, that you're consciously thinking is about that as you're coming back from a work trip. Especially, it's like, okay, like what do I need to do to show appreciation here, and then letting it build up that you may not feel appreciated for all the hard work you're doing, lanes and all the things that we do that we choose to do, but sometimes like, oh man, I just want more appreciation. But communicating that, because people can't read your minds, and so just making sure if you have an expectation that you're communicating that, I think is really important, because usually it's just misunderstanding. Someone said something or perceived something the wrong way, and like you ended up getting like butt hurt when it could just be resolved quickly, and then you waste a whole weekend like not talking or shutting down or being upset with each other. It's so sad. It's like just you can usually communicate through those things, and so then if you need to like go away or go on date night or whatever, but just connect and really prioritize that. And then as far as like vacations, it's funny, I'll come home, my husband's like, let's go to a nice steak dinner. I'm like, I don't want any more steak dinners, no more fancy restaurants. Like, I want to just change into my pajamas and like sit here. But I'm like, okay, like let's go out, it'll be fun. Even though that's what I do for work all the time, and it is fun because I want him to be able to have fun too and have adult conversations and get out there. And then we like to go to the mountains, and lately we've been enjoying going to Costa Rica once or twice a year with our kids. So that's kind of like our getaway now. But it's usually weekends are filled with kids activities, tons of sports, and that's what we signed up for. So I don't really need much. Definitely don't need any more travel personally.
Good. You guys, women like you, are a lot more aggressive or assertive or dominant. How do you respond to those types of things? Because I don't sometimes see them as criticism or, offensive, right? Like there's a lot of language that are used around strong, high capacity women that I don't think is used for men in the same regard.
Yeah, it depends on definitely on how it's being used. It's like, oh, thank you, that's a compliment. That's how I got to where I am at right now, because if I just sat there and didn't go after what I want and my goals and prioritize and focus and go take it and get it and earn it, then I wouldn't be where I'm at. So it's like, thank you, that's who I am. But like as far as like the negative context, I mean, there's plenty of different personality types that are successful in this business. I mean, there's really every personality type. I think we probably are, reviewed as like maybe like more aggressive or assertive because we just are. I mean, we both know that in this business, if you don't go do the work and make the ask, then you're not going to see the success. It's really not complicated. And if you want to do that in an assertive way, and which to me feels like efficiency, then great. And if you want to do it in a different way, which also could be efficient and successful as well, then that's totally fine too.
I don't know. I just have learned to not be offended by those words anymore. And I remember hearing somebody say, am I offensive or are you easily offended? And that has stuck with me so much, Katie, because like you said this earlier, and I don't know, maybe many people caught it, but you said you don't like it when people don't like you because your intent is always there, right? I tell my kids all the time, it is your job to be likable, not your job to be liked. Because we can't decide who likes us, but you can show up and be sincere. You can show up and be cordial and kind, right? And you can be your best self, and people still not like you. There are people who don't like me, and I'm like, I don't even know why. I barely even met you. I don't know who you are really. So, but that's okay. And I tell my kids, I don't like mushrooms. Doesn't make mushrooms bad. You love mushrooms, right? And so that's just the difference of how we have to view ourselves and each other, is to say that just because one person is not for me doesn't make them bad or wrong. Just makes them not for me. Just like certain things in life, running. I don't love running. That's not for me. It doesn't make running bad. Plenty of people love running.
Exactly. Some people like Sauv Blancs. I prefer Cabernets. It's like, it's okay. I mean, and I think what it's hard, and I think now that we've been doing this for so long, is that if people don't like you, they're usually threatened by you in some way, which is unfortunate. So like as soon as they get to know you, they realize like, hey, you're not a threat. You're genuinely wanting to help them, which is what they will always find the more they get to know you. But that initial judgment, it's common, right? Like anybody we meet, like that, there's that initial judgment. And so I think you just have to learn that also if you find yourself in that position where you're like, I don't like that person, it's like, ask yourself, like, am I feeling threatened by this person? Like, why do I not like them? Like, did they specifically do something to me? No, of course not. And so you have to just like get past that, because different people are going to carry different personalities and traits, but just trying to see that just like you get judged unfairly, don't judge others unfairly. And I think we're in the business of professional persuasion, so we are trained into getting people to like us. So if I want someone to like me, it's very difficult not to like me, but sometimes I meet people and I'm probably not putting as much effort in as I know to do with, prospects or people on my team that I need.
Care about if they like you.
For business. And so sometimes I think more in social situations, like with my kids' sports, I feel like maybe this is bad, but like I'm like, okay, the other moms like don't like me. I'm like, well, that's because I'm not really trying.
Yes.
Because I try so hard at work, and I'm always trying to get people like me for work, that it's like, I'm like, I don't really care if they don't like me, and that's fine. But I'm not like in the mom groups, and that's really by choice, because I could put the effort in at practice or pick up, and I just don't, and that again is by choice. My husband is like, why are you antisocial? I'm like, I'm not, I just like don't have capacity for that, and that takes effort, and I'm going to focus my effort again on like what is going to help me accomplish my goals. And being like the most liked mom at pickup is definitely not on my goal list.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not in like the PTO circle. I'm not in the mom groups. And it's honestly why I wanted to do podcasts like this, is because I feel like there's so much room for moms like that. And really, I commend those moms. If you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're a PTO mom, if you're like the mom who's in all the sports and makes all of the cool things, like, I love you. Thank you so much for being that mom, because I'm not. So I don't want to feel guilty about it either, right? Because a lot of times you look at those people and you're like, I could never do that. And they're thinking the same thing when they look at you. I could never do what she does. And so as long as we all can give each other some grace and know that like that's not my skill set, so I don't hop in and do those things because it doesn't bring me joy. It doesn't fill my cup. It doesn't do anything for me. It adds stress to my life. It takes away time that I could be doing other things. Because if I'm in that thing, I'm usually thinking about something else I could be doing that is a better use of my time. So let's serve everybody well by not doing those things and saying yes to things that we don't actually want to say yes to. Like my husband is the guy that will throw money at the problem to solve it. And now I understand why, because he values his time so much that he's like, if I could give money to the problem, like that's it, right? And I used to want to give my time to all of these things, and I realized I just can't anymore. And that's the most valuable resource I have is my time. And so
Exactly.
if you like doing those things, good for you. If you don't feel guilty to not do those things, because saying yes when you don't want to takes away from somebody else who actually loves saying yes and their ability to do that. And so I try to give people permission to like say no to the things.
Exactly. And I already lived high school. Like I don't really need to relive high school. Like I'm good.
Yeah, I don't want that either. All right. So as we start to wrap up, Katie, share a moment where you felt like you were failing as a mom, because I feel like this is so important. And then I'm going to ask you to share on the opposite side of that, a success story as well.
Okay. I mean, like every day there's like little failures. Like, you have a diversified portfolio of children. Like some are rock stars and some need extra. And so sometimes I feel like I'm not like Cooper, my son. Sometimes he comes home and he doesn't have the best grades. And I'm like, am I failing? Like I help him with his homework. I give him the tools to like be able to do his homework. And I'm like, that's just his personality. So I feel like a failure, but I'm like, you know what? That's just like changing him. I don't have to do anything with my girls. Like they just figure it out. They do their homework. I've never had to teach them or help them on the computer. Like they've got it. So sometimes I'm like, oh man, like I need to focus more, help him more individually. It's like, no, he is choosing that path, and that's fine. We'll see where that gets him. Not living in this basement, I know that.
All right. Tell me a time where you felt like you were really winning as a mom.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, every day, like, there's so many wins. Like, especially, when they come home with good grades or they're super proud of themselves for accomplishing their goals. We're very goal-oriented. We're doing the, it's called the Yamada goal sheet, and it's like 64 squares.
Okay.
And
we started talking about this the other day.
Yeah, it's so good. So you have 64 squares. The center of the squares, maybe we could send it like as a follow-up, or you can just, again, Google it. But the center is like your ultimate goal. And then in that first box of 8 squares around that center goal, it's, what are the 8 areas of your life that you have to focus on or crush in order to accomplish that goal. And then you go out into each additional square. So let's say it's like health. So then you move that health goal up into like the top 8 squares. And it's like, okay, like I need to go to the gym every day. I need to help, eat healthy, watch my carbs, like whatever your specific daily actionable items are. So we have all of our kids, even like our 5-year-old, she doesn't have that 64 squares goal sheet, but everybody has a goal. So when they accomplish their goals, like we're super proud, or when I see them going out and, growing, going out for a new sport or being successful in whatever they're doing, it's just, there's such proud moments because I know that they have like the confidence and the seeds that I've planted, the work that I've done, the role model that I've been is showing them. Like when they're doing chores and they're like happy and like in a good mood, it's like I know that they have like that work ethic, that it feels good when you're accomplishing something. Yeah. It doesn't feel good when you're just like sitting and doom scrolling, and it's like you feel bad about yourself. So when they get up and like go out and like be productive and accomplish their goals, I'm like, oh man, like I love this. This is fun. It's like I have a little army of me's out there. It's amazing.
That is so much fun to do. I'm gonna have to implement that a little bit more with the kids and maybe even try that ourselves. What is one thing that when you look back on your life, and as the kids get older, that you want to be known for, or to say like, hey, if my kids said this about me, that they were proud of this, that would make me happy? Because you work so hard and you've built so much for yourself, you have so much success, but as your kids get older, the definition of success looks a little bit different. And like, what is something you want them to be proud of you for?
I mean, I think they're already proud of me for my work. Like they know how hard I work, and so I really feel like I've already accomplished that. But it's funny because I just want them to be successful, happy, human, just like everybody wants for their kids. But because I come from 5 kids and we all live ridiculously close to each other, my happiest moment when I accomplish it later in life is like that they will all stay nearby and not leave. I'm like, don't move. You can't leave me. And so I'm like, if we all live on the same street right here, like I'll be super happy, watch all the grandkids. I'll just basically like relive, the life that my mom has of helping drive their kids around and just like continuing on with like growing this huge happy family.
Well, that's so awesome. All right, what is one tip or suggestion or saying or thing that you would want other working moms to know when they're watching this?
Yeah, I mean, you can have it all. people are always like, oh, like, how do you do it? It's like, you can have whatever you want. In this life, you can accomplish anything you want to accomplish. You can take the vacations, have the cars, the material things, the houses. You can have whatever spouse you want. I mean, you can literally have the career that you want, whatever title you're trying to accomplish, whatever city you want to live in. There's nothing stopping you except for the limiting beliefs that are inside your head, possibly, because it's unlimited opportunity. So if you put it down on paper, you think about it, you're really goal focused, reach out to Jessica and I. We would be happy to help you accomplish your goals. If you are listening to this and you're like, oh, like, that's not realistic, or I couldn't do that, like, seriously, I would, and I hope everyone listening is like, oh yeah, like, I can see how you can do it all, but you have to cut out the things that are distracting you if that's what you truly want. But there's no limits, limitless life.
All right, Katie, I have loved every moment of this. I could probably stay on forever and do this with you, but thank you so much for doing this with me, for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you and connecting with you at conferences, on stages, and everywhere else. Have a great day.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.